This is the BodPod.
Are we born confident or is confidence something that we learn? What is the secret sauce to our confidence? Hey, BodPod Squad, I'm Rachel K. Grimm, and today we have a powerhouse guest who's inspiring confidence through her personal style and her clothing designs. We're sitting down with the incredible Ashley Freeborn of Smash Tess for a conversation that is going to ignite your confidence and absolutely inspire your sense of style. For BodPod listeners who might not know Ashley yet, I'm going to share a little bit about her. Ashley is a mama of two daughters, Francesca and Stella. And after a decade in education and a leap to corporate training, Ashley left to pull towards fun and fresh creative outlets in her work. Following a summer fashion program at Condé Nast in London, Smash Tess entered the world. Ever since, Ashley has enjoyed every moment from designing, finance, coming up with fun and creative marketing campaigns, and all the bits in between. Smash Tess has allowed Ashley to channel her innovative side and celebrate women, and better yet, spend extra time with her best friend and mom. But don't worry, we're going to dive deep into the details of Ashley and Smash Tess. So Ashley, welcome to the BodPod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. We're so excited you're here. For anyone who attended our last BodCon event, they would know Smash Tess and other events that we've had. They're probably familiar with you, but I'm, like I said, excited to dive deeper into your journey of confidence so we can get some inspiration from you. I think I want to start with a bit of your journey to where you are now. And I have to ask off the bat a question about inclusivity, because I think, as we've discussed off camera, Smash Tess really represents inclusive style. And we don't see a lot of brands doing that. For anyone who's watching on video or has consumed your content, and me chatting with you now, you do not appear to be plus size yourself, but you cater to the plus community. You cater to everyone, but you really think about the plus community. If I understand correctly, you start your designs with large rather than starting from like extra small. I want to talk about what has led you to being an ally of the plus size community and being someone who advocates for inclusivity of all.
Yeah, I honestly, that's really where Smash Tess was born. I've always loved fashion, and my weight has always fluctuated through the years. Right now I'm on a bit of the smaller side, but not too long ago I was an extra large, and I have some health issues and I'm on a lot of medication. And so my weight does fluctuate. And I always found that fashion has been the culprit of a lot of negative self-image and negative thoughts. And I've often felt not cool enough, not thin enough, not pretty enough in the fashion space. And that's something I've had to really work through by really building my own confidence. And I think that's what I set out to do with Smash Tess, is democratize, make fashion more accessible, more representative. And I think that's why we launched as an online brand as well, as I wanted to, like, forever fashion was in sort of the hands of the elite. It was, what did Anna Wintour think? What did the runway tell us? And now fashion is available at the click of a button from our bedrooms, and from looking at, and I think that part of it is I didn't see a lot of women who look like me wearing clothes. And I would teeter between being able to shop in the regular stores and not being able to shop in the regular stores, and thinking, how powerful would it be if we got to see our heroes dressed in things and we actually got to wear those things as well. And not only that, but they were designed with our bodies, our shapely bodies in mind. And so that's really how Smash Tess set out, and why we actually were an online brand to begin with and wanted to be an online brand, was we wanted to be as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. And now it's something, I'll be honest, it's not easy. Like extended size runs, if you're doing production in certain houses across the world, they don't even know how to make in a lot of cases, right? Like a 4X. And we often get pushback from our partners being like, can't you just go up to 2X? It'll be easier. And that's why I think people take the path of less resistance. But for us, it's no, these are core to our values. And it's something that brings me incredible joy and satisfaction, is that how many women I've met in person at different events that are like, I'm a 3X and I get to wear the same outfit that Hilary Duff designed and look just as fabulous. And I love that I'm not having a different shopping experience. You're not sending me to the plus size section of the website or to the store, right? Everyone has the same shopping experience. And it's a really important thing. And now it's becoming trendy. And I'm glad, you know what? I'm glad because I'm like, it should be more brands. It should be more people thinking about our more voluptuous women and shapely women. That's what we set out to do. And it's exciting every time I meet a beautiful woman who's been impacted positively by their shopping experience at Smash and Tess. It's really why. It's our why.
You said that so many brands now are diving into the inclusivity space and are trying to be more representative of plus bodies and all bodies.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, when you got started, perhaps it wasn't as saturated as it is now, but how did you find the confidence to start a business and launch a brand in a somewhat like oversaturated industry?
And yeah, absolutely. And okay, like this is a great comment because it does take a lot of confidence because not everybody believes in what we do. And the fashion industry has operated in a certain way for so many years that if you're not heroin chic and your clothes aren't hanging off your thin body, that it's not cool. Like, is that cool factor? And to this day, I'm not naming names, but I still don't get invited to certain fashion events. I don't get invited to shows. I don't get it. And I have to, I have to believe it's because I'm not cool. And there's so much work to be done still to just normalize that. And I feel it all of the time, but it's just something I'm not willing to compromise on. And that does take a lot of confidence. And honestly, it's just steadfast, like being true to your values and being committed to that. That's the only thing that sort of carries me through. And it's so easy as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman to be like, oh, like that shiny object over here and get away from your values and lose your center. And I think it's something that I always bring myself back to is what did we set? What's the impact we want to make on humans, on women? How do we want to make them feel? And that's what guides me. And that's what I think slowly but surely helps me gain the confidence to keep going out in the world and doing what we're doing. It's a journey. It really is.
Totally. Leslie, our producer, and I were just chatting about how when you think about the impact and when you start with the impact, you just are so much more able to get to where you want to be. And like the longevity of your work, actually, it is lasting and it pays off as well. As you said, opposed to just like doing it because it's like the cool thing to do. Instead, you're starting this business and building this brand because you know that the impact is truly going to change people's lives. I love it. So powerful. You work with your mom is your business partner. Did you and your mom always have a dream of launching a business together? Was she always a fashionista? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, so my mom is a pioneer in women in finance. So she was shoulder pads and all in the 80s. She was an executive and retired as a CEO of a financial institution in Los Angeles. So for me, my mom has always been a badass boss who was my mentor and who's really taught me a lot about how to be an empathetic and effective CEO. And when I wasn't in business, I was in teaching, and my mom always would say to me, like, Ash, are you sure you don't want to go into business? Like, you have such a marketing mind. Like, she never really understood why I chose my teaching path and didn't try. But I always explain when I was 19, 18 years old, it wasn't accessible to see women entrepreneurs in the way we see them now. There was no social media. And so for me to be an entrepreneur meant, oh, you're going to be open a store on the corner. There was you weren't looking at people basically creating business, content creators and creating business every day. And my mom has always been my biggest fan and the one who pushes me the most. And so we always had, every year we would plan our Christmas PJs from January 1 to December 24th. We would be planning our Christmas PJs, and we've always bonded over fashion. Now, she's the woman who walks in a power suit and 6 inches heels like every day. That's my mom. And we've always loved fashion together. And I actually went through a really big pivotal change in my life that involved canceled engagement and everything. And my mom said, this is it, Ash, like go and let's see if you can make our fashion dreams a reality. And so I spent the summer at Condé Nast and learned everything I could learn. And that's where Smash Tess was born. And I'll never forget pitching it to my professors and running out and calling my mom and being like, Mom, they like this idea. They like it. And at the time I was just this little nugget, but she's always been my biggest fan and my biggest advocate. And I often say this to working moms everywhere, that the mom guilt is real, but I am living proof that when you get to watch your mom do what she loves every day and wake up and be so passionate about something, that can't help but rub off on you and leave you, set you on a path of confidence and leadership and all of those things. And that's who my mom is to me. And now she works as acting CFO. She's our chair of our board, and she's my mentor and my coach and the person I can call and cry to every day when things are hard and not be worried, because she's my mom and she has to love me. So I feel very blessed in that sense. And she represents our slightly older demographic. So get to touch the clothes and give her feedback on the length of things and how they fit and feel for our 60 plus women. So also part of our inclusivity, our commitment to inclusivity. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
Your mom sounds like such a badass. As you said, I'm obsessed. I want to talk a little bit about what you said, how she is representative of your older demographic. We see so much business done online. You even said all these creators are out here starting businesses online. That's literally what I did, right? So many of us have done that. And we see often, as you said earlier, about the type of woman that we see in fashion. Like traditionally, I think in the online space too, we saw a very specific woman at a certain age, right? And now your mom and these women that you are, some of the demographic that you're catering to, are over that general age that we're seeing. What has been your experience in social media, presenting your business online? Have you witnessed any ageism? What has that been like?
Yeah, a ton. You know what it is that I find fascinating is if you ask me, Ashley, what's your purpose? Like I did a TED Talk for the first time on purpose this last spring, and that was the theme. And I would say that what I've figured out through my career in teaching, my corporate career, and now as an entrepreneur, is I'm your hype girl. I'm here to basically lift the vibes, get you stoked, get you excited, and get you confident. And whether I do that through clothing, whether I do it on social media. And what I find is it's really hard for a woman to age, right? Like in the public. Yes. And I think I know because I'm in my 40s now, and it's hard on women. And we come this negative self-talk and this limiting self-talk around like what we can wear and what we can't wear. And what I've found really fascinating is the conversations I'm having with 60, like the women who are 60 plus, even 50 plus. Came out a lot with Paula Abdul when we did our collab with Paula, who's 60, and then a lot now with my mom. And my mom is such a perfect example because I use her all the time in conversations with beautiful women over 60 who say, I can't wear that. I love that romper. I can't wear that. It shows my legs, or I can't wear that. My arms are wrinkly, or my chest doesn't look. And having those conversations to be like, oh, actually, here's a photo of my mom. And doesn't she look stunning? And oh, she does. And so do you. And this conversation, like I love to have this with our older women, because I'm like, I think we've been doing this or it's no different than being a size 20 and being like, I can't wear a mini skirt, or I can't wear a crop top. Like, who created these stupid rules? And can we just all wear the effing crop top, wear the effing shorts, and how beautiful and how uplifting and how powerful is it when you see a woman doing that, like skirting these norms and rocking what she wants to rock because she looks fantastic. That confidence is what exudes and what people notice. And so these are the conversations I'm having with a lot of our women who are 60 plus, is a ton of that, just so much of that, I can't wear this coming up. So more work to be done, I think, big time.
Absolutely. I think to what you're saying, when we allow ourselves to wear what we want to wear, and we see other women allowing themselves to wear what they want to wear, we give other women then the permission to wear what they want to wear too. And so, as you said, seeing like other 60 plus year old women wear these things confidently, that gives someone like my mom or your mom or whoever the permission and power to confidently wear what she wants to. And it might not be the exact same thing. She might not be ready for that, but she can at least dive in, try something a little bit different.
I was watching this weird show on reality. It was like some reality show in Paris, and there was a woman, and she was 90, and she was wearing a leather motorcycle coat. And I was in the nail salon, and I live in Palm Springs.
Stop.
I'm with a lot of retired folks, and all the women in this place started talking about it to each other, being like, do I need a motorcycle jacket? She looks fantastic. And I was like,
Yes.
yeah, girl, you need a motorcycle. you need one, and you need one. And they were all like, yeah, like it was so funny to watch them. I would never think to buy that. And now, oh, maybe I want that. And recognizing, because we have like this body dysmorphia and this sense of, I'm the first to admit it. Like I often will think of I'm always perpetually one size. And whether I fluctuate, I'm like, that's how I see myself. And so it's the same with our older demographic who are like, oh, I would look silly in that, until you start reflected. And that's the power of art and fashion and all of that, because then you're like, wait a minute, like this has challenged what I think about what I can wear. And just that little point, maybe it's just a little tiptoe out of your comfort zone, is hugely impactful.
That's all you need to get started. As you said, just dip a toe in the water, and next thing you know, you'll be swimming wearing the motorcycle jacket.
Tops are coming.
Yeah. You mentioned your time at Condé Nast and your time in London. I really resonated with that. I lived in London for a period of time, studied in London, studied fashion. And so I really relate with you on your experience there. I want to talk a little bit about the impact of traditional fashion media on your brand and business today.
Yeah, so I had the funniest experience at Condé Nast, because I went back as a tenure teacher. I was 31, I think, and all of these girls at Vogue, right? This is the Vogue College, all right? British Vogue. And it was like a museum. Everything was white and pristine. And I went to school with like princesses and like people like very wealthy, I saved up all year. I was staying in East London. I was like sweating every day, and I would show up these beautiful, the epitome of what you would consider fashion, right? Every day, hair, perfectly put together. And the whole time I sat there, one of these things just doesn't belong here. This is me and how I feel in fashion. And now here it is every day in my face. And that, I think, did propel me. And I tried all of these different things, and I wasn't good at any of it. Like I couldn't design a magazine cover to save your life. I loved the style, but turns out on shoot, I didn't love doing that. And it was funny because early on, my senior lecturer at Vogue was like very much recognized that in me and was like, you're a little more mature. And she's like, you know what, Ashley, one day you're going to pay people to do all of this, and you're going to start your own brand. And so she was actually my first consultant ever and helped me with my business plan for Smash Tess. It was born out of that. And I think what was fascinating was I originally went there thinking, oh, I'm going to open up maybe a pajama store with my mom. And in the first class, they were like, oh, don't open up a brick and mortar. And I was like, oh, what am I doing here then? That was my idea. And then the more I learned about fashion, the more I learned about the history and current pop culture and all of it, the more I realized that there was a real opportunity to be disruptive and really make change and really, I don't know, like, why is this such a novel concept for women to shop clothes on women whose bodies look like theirs? I don't know why that's so weird, but it was. And in if you know, in London, it's celebrity culture is huge, like obsessed, right? Celebrity culture, like who's cool, who's wearing what. And maybe it was just like a real gut reaction to all of that made me be like, I want to do it all differently.
The opposite way.
All of this is making me want to do it the opposite. And I've often said that even when I was training teachers, because I worked as a teacher, like at the university as well, when I was a teacher, my number one thing was like, just be you. Like there was always this thing in teaching where it was like, don't smile until December, or the kids won't respect you. And I remember being like, yeah, but like kids can see right through that, and you are just yourself, and you hone that and you find that. And that's the hard part. Dig deep. Who are you? And then how can you use that in your business? And that's how I felt at Condé Nast amongst all the princesses and fresh girls out of uni. It was like, that's not me. That's not
Yeah.
me. And so it was like, what have I been telling people in teaching for the last 5 years? I've been telling them to just be themselves. And so that's really where it came out of, was like this sort of rejection of all of that sort of classist, elitist vibe that fashion exudes. And so maybe it was that catapulting into this like very deeply entrenched Vogue you can't get anymore.
No.
But and then when I'm in Vogue, like I'm in Vogue now, which is crazy. My name is in Vogue because Hilary Duff said my name in Vogue. She's like, Ashley Freeborn. And I was like, oh, I literally fell off my chair when we did our collab with Helen. She got her feature in Vogue and my name is there. I'm not in there because I like sold out. I'm in there because like our commitment to what we said we were going to do. And like that to me was the most powerful moment and still is. And I pinch myself all the time. But yes, full circle from studying there, to being in Vogue. Yeah.
That speaks to confidence, if you ask me. I think you saying, sticking with who you are, running with who you are unapologetically, saying, I'm not going to sell out or change because I'm told it's what I should do to fit in, but I'm going to be me. And yes, you're saying it in terms of like fashion and business, but I would say that's like totally who you are as a person, right? And that is like being a confident person, like not selling out just to fit in with other people, but saying, no, actually, I bring something really unique and different to the table. I'm going to embrace it and run with it and know that it's actually going to allow me such opportunity. It might take a little longer to get there, as you said, but like how much more rewarding is that opportunity, like seeing your name said by Hilary Duff in Vogue. That's so rewarding to walk in confidence that way.
It is, and it's not easy, and I don't want to give the impression that it is because it's not.
No.
And every day there, I get knocked and hit, and I pick myself up.
Yes.
And it's that people need to know that it's not this beautiful Instagram journey. It's really hard. But I think I always say, people are like, you're so lucky. I'm like, oh, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And it's all because of I work really hard and I don't give up. And that's it. Like you just can't give up. And if you believe in your product or you believe in your idea, then it has legs. It's just, you have to stand behind it. And that's not easy to do when you have to pay bills and you have to, it's a really hard thing to do. And we are glamorizing so many other things that it can be really distracting and really tough. And even if it's just about your commitment to yourself and your commitment to being true to who you are and going through life in a certain way, that's really challenging. And you're tempted every day to try the new like weight loss pill or your whatever. And I actually think it's really hard to just try to love yourself and try to love the commitment to you. It's a really challenging thing to do. So I want to honor that.
I really appreciate that you mentioned that. And that was something I wanted to dive into with you is it's so easy to see you showing up here confidently and being so confident in yourself and in your business. But I would love to maybe talk about a time or two that you felt a little bit of that self-consciousness take over the confidence and feel like it's holding you back from who you want to be and where you want your business to be.
Yeah, I feel it every day. I every day, if you ask my husband, it's, oh, I'm such a failure. And this is the talk I say out loud. And then you're not. You're going to tackle the day. You're going to have a better day. And tomorrow is a new day. And I think that's what I'm really learning is that business has been challenging post-pandemic, macro environment, apparel. It has been, we're seeing more businesses going out of business, especially D2C brands, a lot of apparel brands. And it's really hard. It's hard on your ego. It's hard on your day-to-day, on your family. And so I consistently struggle with feeling less than. And it's something that I just have to remember. And it's something I've finally learned after 41 years on the earth is every day is a new beginning. And it's when one day it feels like it's all over. It's like the next day you pick yourself back up and you go after it. And I think I am not particularly smarter than anybody else. There's nothing special particularly about me other than I am tenacious as all hell. And I think that's the key is people are like, gosh, you're always in action. I'm like, yeah, I am. Like I go through life moving fast and hard and I don't I don't overthink things. If I have an idea, I act on it in that moment. And I think that's what keeps me moving and keeps me building like my confidence at a level where I can function and do what I do, because
Yeah.
we all get kicked like every day. There's something, right? Like life's hard. And I think a lot of times we idolize people and we look at people and think, oh my gosh, like their life is so easy. And this is so like, why can't I just be like that? And I think the truth is they're struggling. We're all struggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that resonates with myself and so many other people. I often think I would love to see myself from the point of view of like my friends or my family, because I'm so hard on myself. And when I say I think all of us are. We're so hard on ourselves. And as you said, so many other people in our lives, you mentioned your husband, like he sees you out here winning, making so much progress, but you see what you're not doing. And it's so hard, but if we could just see ourselves from that other point of view sometimes, how powerful would that be? Like we'd be even more confident in ourselves because we'd see how far we've come.
Yeah, if it was yeah, totally. If it was my husband, I'd be looking at my own boobs all the time for sure.
I'm not kidding. I was editing a video right before this, and it was like from behind. I was hanging something on the wall, and I said, "Ooh, my booty looks good." Lucky man. Pod Squad, if you are not already, be sure to follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the best experience, because we're on camera right now. And you can also download the BodCon app for free to watch, listen, and chat with us in real time about this episode and beyond. When we first got started, I mentioned that I had heard you start your design process with a large. Tell us about that. How does that work? What was the inspiration behind that? Why is that so different from what we're seeing from other brands?
Yeah, I think that honestly, a lot of our bigger sizes are afterthoughts for most brands, if they can cater to them at all.
Yes.
And I always want to preface everything with, this is a journey. Like I'm learning so much about plus size fashion and pattern making and the different details required. And so by no means is Smash and Tess perfect. But I think like I always started the clothes, like I'm the creative director of Smash and Tess. If I, as a curvier woman, I've got bigger boobs. Sadly, I don't have a bigger ass. I'm like working on it. I'm really, I don't know. I wish I did, but I am like, I'm curvy. I'm a curvier woman. And I wanted to make sure that it hit where I wanted it to hit, that while we were grading up and down, it fits the way it's supposed to fit versus how you like, oh, well, just hopefully it'll fit if it's a bigger size. No, there's key considerations you have to take into consideration when you're doing it from the beginning. And so if you starting from a not typical, slightly bigger size, then I find it's easier to grade up and grade down from there. And it's also just core of who we are. It's the heart of who we are. Is like, let's talk about the average size woman in North America, because it ain't a size 0. So I'm like, even if it's a medium, large, like that's in the middle somewhere, but starting at the very smallest size doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. But that is how traditionally people do things in fashion. And we've been lucky enough, like we do our own small batch production, a lot of which is in North America, some of which is offshore. But because we were able to do it locally and have our hands in the details of our pattern making and our grading, we always did it that way. And I don't love it, it doesn't get made. And so that's part of what, for me, I'm like, I need the large, so I'm going to put it on my body. And if I don't love it, and I don't see how it's going to look good on all beautiful women, then I'm not making it. So it's very different than just having a fit model and making the extra small, putting it on some random person's body and being like, oh, I think I like that. Like, how do you know? And like put it on. So that's why we've always done things the way we've done them. And like I said, we're learning a lot around grading, because there's just certain fits. If you're doing a 4X, for example, making sure it's very accessible to get over the shoulders and hips. And so there's certain extra button details required or an extra. So there's certain things to really consider there that we're learning as we go. Honestly, I just fumble my way through every day. Like people think I know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just like every day, just trying
We're all
something.
just figuring it out. As a large, as a curvy girl, I really appreciate that, because I think all the time to myself when I put on my pants, how if it will fit my butt, it won't fit my waist. And if it fits my waist, it's definitely not zipping over my butt. Like it just won't work.
Yeah.
And so being able to take into account shape makes
Yeah.
such a difference
Yes.
for all of us wearing it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not like you may not get it right. I think, but it's there. It's there. It is not an
Yes.
afterthought for us. Like it's
Yeah.
something really working towards and committed to, and that's the difference. I
Yeah.
think. Not just, oh, we'll just make it in a 2X. Like it's no, we're actively trying to make this fit the way it should fit. Yes.
Yes. You've mentioned a few times your journey in education, and I want to talk a little bit about how your confidence has changed, like thinking about education and working with students. As you said, you were told not to smile in front of your students. Now you're a mom of two. Like, how has that transformed your journey of confidence?
Being a mom is every day a conundrum. I'm like raising two women, my little women, and I am trying to do it in a way where I am really empowering and really speaking to their inner selves. And I think like just growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was the era of the supermodel. And for me, it's really fascinating to flip that and be cognizant of language around what that I use around my little women and how we talk about clothes and how they fit and why we eat certain things and why we don't eat other things. And it's been extra challenging because I'm a type 1 diabetic. So explaining like, around, it's not because mommy is worried about your weight. It's like, it's about like the sugar. And I'm deeply that they're going to get what I have. And I'm always thinking about that. And so I've really challenged myself every day to have those conversations with my kids and really focus on their sense of humor and their kindness and their compassion and how beautiful their souls are and tell me about what kind of things did you do today and like how did that show up in your life. And that's really challenging because you're ingrained in a certain way. And so being a mom and being a mentor to so many kids over the years and having to be so thoughtful about the impact of your words and being in fashion in particular now with my kids. And my daughter wears glasses and just yesterday had an issue with another kid calling her creepy and I broke my heart and at the same time, how do I have this conversation about self-love and about compassion and kindness and with my daughter? So that has been way that has really impacted me and how I go out into the world now with our brand is I always think these are all all of these women need that nurturing and that uplifting and that encouragement and that support. And because the world is a hard freaking place and women in particular, we can be really hard on each other. And that's why I'm committed to that is like, how do we create a positive space both at home and how we talk about ourselves and our image and what I do in business every day and making sure that's married. And I feel really good about my values and how they cross over that way.
I am sure it doesn't always feel like you're doing it perfectly. I can only imagine, but it sounds like you are an amazing mom. I think that first of all, you call them little women, so cute. But secondly, considering the impact of what you have faced and knowing, hey, this is how it's made me feel, and I want to make sure that they don't experience this or that they do experience this thing. And being so persistent about making sure that happens for them is awesome. You're doing a great job, Ashley.
I'm trying. And I check myself every day. Like, I think that's the thing. Is no different than how I'm having conversations with women around I'm part of our ambassador chat and I've got 800 women that just wear Smash and Tess and like talking about Smash Tess. And the amount of times I challenge like the word flattering, for example, like many times we say, I didn't like it. It wasn't flattering on me. And I'm like, let's talk about that. I'm so curious. Like, what is flattering mean to you? And why don't you think it's flattering? And it is not, I think this is the conversation I have with my girls. It's just, let's openly have that conversation about why we're using the words that we're using, the impact of those words. And it's not wrong and you're not bad. It's just, let's just have an open dialogue around it. And so that's something I'm learning every day. And that's the amazing part of being a human is we get to be a little bit, my mom always says, we get to be a little bit smarter. Committed to us, just being a little bit better of a human every day.
I think, as you've mentioned a few times in different ways, like there is something so powerful about being surrounded by other people who both validate and challenge our experiences that lead us to be better and feel supported by a community. Like when you feel that you have a community around you who understands you, is pushing you to be better, but also validates your experiences, you're able to get so much further ahead. And not only are you doing that with your daughters, but you're doing that with Smash and Tess. Perhaps that's your first child. That's your third child.
Yeah, I do think of her as a child. Fashion certainly takes my time up, like my kids. So, yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the sustainability aspect of your business. I found this really fascinating when I learned about how you produce, and you even mentioned it today, like doing things in small batches, I think is how you said it. I'm curious from the consumer standpoint, like those of us putting on our clothes every single day, do you have a few tips for us creating a sustainable wardrobe?
Yeah, I think like now more than ever, it's Gen Zs, we've said time and time again, they're very aligned with who's behind the brand of clothes that they buy and really
Yes.
fascinated, interested by that and want to align themselves from a values perspective. Our baby boomers, not as much, millennials,
Yeah.
somewhere in between. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of learning that has to be done. I have been learning about the fashion industry because I was a total novice. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's really about learning the story behind your clothes. It's about making a deeper investment in brands and clothes that will come run the distance with you. And I think
Yeah.
you get it a lot because people will say, for example, you make your stuff in China, that probably cost you like $10. False.
Yeah.
There's so many myths that one day when I'm a little smarter, I would love to write about in fashion because sure, if you are completely devoid of values, with a lot of fashion brands are, so like tons of them are, and you're using
Yeah.
child labor, you're using cheap labor, and you're doing hundreds of thousands of units, then yeah, you're going to pay probably $2.50 even for a shirt that you'll turn
Yeah.
around and sell for 50 or 100 or 200. But when you're making 200 items of some, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of xenophobia around made offshore, onshore. There is a ton of, like I said, myths around that whole thing. In China, for example, these are trained artisans of these are people that have been sewing for centuries, who were taught by their moms, by their dads, by their grandparents, and now are making the clothes. And so it's very challenging to challenge people's norms around that. People think, oh, it's made there, it's crappy quality. And in fact, what we need to do more in North America is how do we invest in the textile industry in a meaningful way? And so as a small brand, and let's face it, like some of these bigger brands, they have a lot more money to invest in the local textile industry. I don't, but I think it's important. And so when we do about 95% of our production locally on shore, like in Canada, actually Vancouver, some in LA, and that's important because now we're saying we're putting our money where our mouth is, and now more seamsters are being trained to do what they do. But if you think about our generation, we don't really know how to sew anymore. So this is like a skill we are not learning anymore.
Yeah.
And there are people around the world that are experts in their craft and have been doing this and are learning this actively, and this is what they love to do. And so I think we need to, that's what we're doing at Smash and Tess, is a bit of both. People don't understand that you can't actually knit a sweater in Vancouver. Like you can't do that you can't do that at scale. You have to do that in China or other places around the world. So that's where we go. If it's a jersey stretch fabric, we can do that in Vancouver. There's a lot of houses that specialize in that. So having a really open mind as a consumer, but also a deep commitment to learning more about where your clothes come from, where your fabric comes from, where your goods come from. And I think people tend to spot pick, right? They'll be like they tend to get behind, well, I only buy things made in Canada, but that's not true. And so it's like having that global mind to be like, actually, the world, we work in a global economy, and understanding that there are responsible factories and you can actually make those choices where you decide to put your money matters. And so for production, you're going to pay more. But the likelihood is that a lot more thought has gone into that fabric choice, and someone who's getting paid like a fair living wage is making that item, and you're supporting families and you're supporting. And so it's really deciding and committing to what's important to you as a consumer, because it's a very powerful decision that you have to where you spend your money. Yeah.
And it's a bit of a journey, just like building your confidence. Like you're not going to get it right off the bat. It's going to take time to figure it out. But as you said, when you put in the work, you will.
Yeah, and I think it's okay. Look, like you can go vintage shopping and find cool stuff if you really need that accessory. Like no one's judging. Like it's totally your own decision of what you want to buy. But I think just those little steps to be like, oh, this is cool. I feel good about buying this coat because, you know, a seamster in Vancouver, BC made that. And it was made by, you know, women-owned brand who you're only doing 200 at a time, 300 at a time. So a bunch of waste. And I think making those investments here and there, because it's not for everyone. Not everyone can afford that, right? And I get that too. It's not cheap. So to be open to that too, that it is a lot cheaper to buy a shirt on Amazon for $20. I understand. Yeah. So you are limited by what you can spend, but making those key investments can be so impactful if you can.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Obviously, we are Team Smash and Tess here at the BodCon. But I want to know, do you have any other brands that you see doing inclusivity? They're like, I look to them for inspiration, or that you would recommend others looking to for inspo too?
Yeah, I think there are so many brands. Obviously, I'm a huge NYX fan, and just I think that they're extremely inclusive. It's at the heart of what they do. There's a lot of great local Vancouver brands. My girlfriend's handbag brand, I love Poppy and Peonies. I think that she's always dedicated to being very representative in her marketing. And so there's a lot of like really cool brands doing really cool things. Even like some of the bigger guys in the US, like Aerie, and they've been disruptive but there's still more work to do, because I've heard more work to do on their size inclusivity and all of that. But all I can say is if it's on the forefront of their minds and they're working towards it, I'm a fan. And I'm rooting for you. And I think that it's so easy to make mistakes. And I think I understand how hard it is to also launch a brand and have to have that many sizes, because it's very expensive, and production houses do not want to make that many sizes. They will push you hard and be like, no, we want 4. And you're like, no, I want 10. And they're like, what? So I get it. Like it is a very challenging thing. And so there's so many brands though that I'm so happy are jumping on the train. I'm like, jump on it. I'm not going to judge you for getting on late. I don't care. Just do it. Get on it.
Yeah, I think just as you said, these brands are inspiring to see. I think that you are truly a standout and inspiration in the space across the board, but particularly when it comes to inclusivity. I think it's just awesome to see you out here killing it, girl.
Thanks. Look, that means so much to me, and I really appreciate the kind words. And like I say, I'm my own biggest. I think we all are. We challenge ourselves the most, and I know there's more we can do. So that's what keeps me going. It's just I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do better. That's it. Yeah.
Tell us, what is more? What can we expect to see from Smash and Tess this year, next year? What are projects or plans you have in the pipeline for us?
More collabs. And I think like we've been challenging ourselves in lots of ways to do collabs with folks that we think we believe in, inspire us in some way, and who have are so confident in their own right. So that's something we're continuing to work on. We've got some really exciting ones for next year that are in the books. And then we're continuing to just develop our grading and our patterns for our 2X to 4X, and just making sure our staple rompers, we're actually revamping them to make sure the fit is right. We're having more fit models coming in our bigger sizing to ensure that it fits the way it's supposed to fit. So a deeper kind of connection and commitment to our grading and our pattern making. And then just continuing like Smash and Tess, we're always having fun. And today we just launched a new outerwear, like a teddy collection. So we're always innovating and coming up with new product offering, because our quest is to dress her from head to toe.
Yes.
So that's really what we've been having fun with, is like, what new categories and assortments can we offer our Smash Tess fam? And so lots more to come from a product perspective as well.
Love it. I know. I can't wait to see so many of us listening. Can't wait to see. So before we let you go, tell us, where can we find you to see all of the new things that are on the horizon for you?
Yeah, contrary, a lot of people call us Smash Tess because that's our handle. We are Smash and Tess. My mama is the Tess, I'm the Smash, if anything. But our handle is at Smash. You can find us on all social media channels there. And then our website is smash.com. And you can check out all the latest and greatest. And we just started opening up our wholesale program. So we're in some boutiques across Canada now, looking to do that in the US as well. And we are on a few marketplaces, which is a plus size, more of a plus size focused marketplace, and various other ones. But come on over to our social channels, check us out, hear about our story, and see some cute things. Yeah, at Smash Tess.
Amazing. Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for boosting our confidence. I know you really hyped me up, and I'm sure so many people listening will feel the same. Everyone listening, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check us out on YouTube, where you can see Ashley and I chatting. You can actually see us chatting. That's always really fun. And yes, we didn't plan this. We both did a bun situation.
Fun sisters.
Yes. So you can check us out there, and also on the BodCon app. It's free. You can watch and stream this episode and have chats with us about this episode and beyond. So, Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for connecting with us today, and keep embracing your uniqueness and your confidence. Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us today on the BodPod. We release new episodes every week, and we're available on all podcast streaming platforms and now YouTube too. Subscribe to our channels to be the first to know. Want to talk all things body confidence, enter amazing giveaways, and hear updates about the BodCon 2023? Find us on Instagram at the BodCon. My name's Rachel K. Grimm, and I'll see you next week.